Welcome, everyone, to Young at Heart, session number 116. I'm Father James DeLucio with the Paulist Fathers here in the library of our rectory in New York City, offering stories, songs, poems, Mother Goose, AESOP fables, and nonsense to keep us all young at heart in my effort to uplift us, engage us, entertain us. And it's interesting that Aesop's fables kind of bring us right to the precipice where childhood and adulthood merge, for they have quite a philosophical content and can engage us in some ways that some of the children's stories do not, but in a sense they all do, really. They all have tremendous value to engage our imaginations and visualizations of our mind. And, well, let's get to it. I thought this time I would tell you the Aesop fable. I have two of them, actually, in my own words first, and then offer my contemporary application, and then return to Roger Lestrange and his 17th century wording that has been put down in print. So we get a little compare and contrast to the stories. And to be honest, I think most of us would be telling them in our own words to one another and sharing, not reaching for the book or going to our computers. So the first, another very popular one, is called The Fox and the Raven. It just so happened that the crafty Foxy was quite hungry this early morning, and he was discerning how on earth was he going to be able to procure his meal. As he went wandering about, he saw a lovely raven sitting in a tree, and thereby he got the inspiration. "Oh, Mr. Raven," he said, "you are among the most handsome of birds, the envy of gods and men. How you fly and you soar with such gracefulness, and, let's face it, you inspire the augurs who interpret the movement of birds, yours in particular, to see if there is a good omen or prophecy of good fortune to come. I so admire you, and look at those plumes," and on and on and on. Now, of course, the raven was feeling exceedingly pumped up, and was thinking about his own grandeur and appreciating himself more than perhaps he had ever appreciated himself before, and that wonderful eternal song that rings out in the hearts of children and adults everywhere. "Oh, the wonder of me!" And so he fell prey to what the fox would next say to him. "And let me tell you this," said Foxy, very cleverly. "I have not yet had the great privilege of hearing you sing. Now, we know birds are known for their mellifluous sounds, the ease in which the music just flows from them. Please, please, dear Mr. Raven, let me hear you sing." Well, you know how we all love to sing. And the invitation to sing, it cannot be overestimated or underestimated or anything. We're just compelled to sing. And so, opening wide his mouth, the raven drops the tasty morsel, and it falls down to the ground, and the fox just grabs it up and enjoys a better breakfast than he had even imagined. And the moral with a contemporary slant is beware of flattery. We must always be discerning what is the heart and mind of our interlocutors. And there is a great difference between flattery and compliments, and that difference originates in the heart of the speaker. So take that to heart. And now, Roger Lestrange, and you still haven't told me which series of books for children this character comes from. The Lestrange character, not Roger. He lived in the 17th century. Okay. A certain fox spied out a raven upon a tree, with a morsel in his mouth that set his chops a-watering. But how to come at it was the question. "O thou blessed bird," says he, "the delight of gods and men," I'll insert, "and women." And so he lays himself upon the gracefulness of the raven's person, and the beauty of his plumes, and the bird's admirable gift of augury, etc. And now, says the fox, if thou hast but a voice answerable to the rest of thy excellent qualities, the sun in the firmament could not show the world such another fabulous creature. This nauseous flattery set the raven immediately a-gaping as wide as ever he could stretch to give the fox a taste of his pipe. But upon the opening of his mouth he drops his breakfast, which the fox presently chopped up. And then the fox bade him remember that whatever he said of the raven's beauty, he had spoken nothing yet of the raven's brains. So, after all that flattery, the fox shows his disdain for the raven and names his foolhardiness. And in the archaic language of Robert Lestrange, the moral: there's hardly any man, I'll insert, woman, that may not be wrought upon more or less by flattery, for we do all of us naturally overween in our own favor. Nice word, overween. Look it up. But when it comes to be applied once to a vain fool, it makes him or her 40 times an arranter sot than he or she was before. A fool, a sot. We don't use that word very much. Certainly we don't use arranter, another word to look up. And then Lestrange goes a little farther. This fable shows us the danger and the nature of flattery. It calls good things by ill names and ill things by good, but it will never be out of credit so long as there are knaves to give it and fools to take it. And how none of us wish to be labeled a fool, and yet all of us do and say some foolish things at times. Humility is the antidote to much of this chicanery. Don't you think? See? A childhood story, but it's helping us grow up. The second, an old lion. Now, in the days of his youth, the lion was strong, courageous, pride, and arrogant, and he made many an enemy, most of whom, of course, just trembled in his presence. But as it came to pass, and life makes way of us, has its way with us, the lion grew old, And as he grew old, he lost much of his strength and vigor and pride and arrogance. Well, all of those other animals who had seen themselves as his victim began to become courageous, or at least their sons and daughters had. And so, seeing the lion's weakness, they fell upon him, tortured him, and made his life absolutely miserable. And that's the fable. And the moral is, be kind and compassionate and make friends with people of every age and every condition. For some time in your life, you will have been all of these and will need the understanding and comfort of friends, and you'll have it if you bestow upon them the comfort and support that you desire. Okay. An old lion. A lion that in the days of his youth and strength had been very outrageous and cruel, came in the end to be reduced by old age and infirmity to the last degree of misery and contempt, insomuch that all the beasts of the forest, some out of insolence, others out of revenge, some, in fine, upon one pretense, some upon another, fell upon him by consent. He was a miserable creature to all intents and purposes, but nothing went so near the heart of him in his distress as to find himself battered by the heel of an ass. Remember yesterday's fable where the lion would not condescend to even engage with the ass. He just literally called him a fool and went on his way. So his pride made him humble in the end. The moral here by Roger Lestrange. A prince that does not secure friends to himself while he is in power and conditioned to oblige them must never expect to find friends when he is old and impotent and no longer able to do them any good. If he governs tyrannically in his youth, he will be sure to be treated contemptuously in his old age, and the baser his enemies are, the more insolent and intolerable will be the affront. Notice in most of these, as we will see, when Lestrange offers the morals and his further elucidations, he's very quick to assign a particular animal an analogous figure in history, and the lion always goes directly to be associated with a king. Now, notice that I did not, because there's that kingly, princely sense of everyone, male, woman, and child, and we're the results of the Enlightenment that began in the 17th century and onward, and the new culling of biblical passages that would support that sense that everyone is a child of God, which is certainly a very kingly, princely, princessly, queenly dynamic. So I will leave you there with those thoughts to ponder, to contemplate, and to retell the stories in your own words, or if you prefer, to look them up in the more archaic renditions available online and in, as I have done, taken from the Everyman's Children's Library, this one being AESOP Fables. Thank you for joining me today. God bless you. Stay safe. Wear your mask. And until we meet again, love, peace, and joy. Bye, everyone.